Hello, this is Andy's digital story. This shows that what I have learned and what I have done in Hong Kong Polytechnic University CITA training. The IC training provides some application audience practice about concrete, steel, falsework and formwork, brickwork and plastering, NDT and anchoring. In this video, you will also see several activities I have completed in the 7 days training course. Okay, let's start. On the first day, our group has assigned to attend structural steel class first. In the workshop, first, we learn how to connect the steel by using different methods. And there are many types of connection, like welding, bolt and nut, etc. He shows some example of welding steel to us too. After connecting, we also learned about how to cut and drill a hole on steel. He showed us many tools and describes them one by one. And then they show me different types of methods to test steel for the inspection of welding, from non-destructive tests, dye penetrating tests, magnetic particle inspection, etc. Those methods could make sure that the structure from steel will have stable and safety conditions. In the afternoon session, we have to make a steel chair by using the steel. First, the instructor make us be two groups for the upper and underside of the chair. I'm in the group on making the upper side of the chair. First, the instructor told us cut the long section into relatively short sections. Then we used the saw to cut four identical sections of steel, and then connect each other by welding. The other group used an electric drill to drill two holes in each section. When they are drilling, they have to apply some cooling material, since it produces so much heat. Then we connect the two components by using bolt. Finally, we make the chair. On the second day, we come to formwork class. At the beginning, the instructor showed us many different kinds of tools, which is for cutting the wood. Then he introduced some basic components of formwork, and he followed by showing us some examples of formwork. The instructor told us how to use hammer and nut, and hence to connect the wood board. Finally, he tells us how to build a formwork by using wood board, and we have to use a little formwork in the afternoon session. In the afternoon session, he showed us a large machine that is used to cut the wood board into small pieces, and it is very accurate and convenient because the saw of the machine is rotating in a very fast speed and the power is very high. Therefore, the wood can be easily cut into small pieces. Then, our group used the machine to cut the wood and build a I-shaped formwork. In the process, we use hammer and nuts to connect the wood board. This is not an easy task, as nuts always bend out and we are not good at this kind of work. Finally, we cannot connect all the boards, and then we install the tie bar to tie the former system. And this former system will be used in the next few days for concreting. On the first day, we learned about scaffolding and false work. In the morning session, the inspector tells us first is the difference between scaffolding and false work. We also learn how to inspect it and how to check the scaffolding for safety. In the afternoon session, before we start our work, the instructor introduced some kinds of joints of different scaffolding and false work, like how the interlocking of the structure and the construction method of them. Then we have to work on the false work. We were asked to construct a false work with two floor heights. We have to be requested to play as a different role in a real construction project. I'm very honored, can be a project manager. I should plan the whole project's rundown. This is the first time I organize those a big team to construct something. This is the time for me to show the leadership. First, we have to frame out the area of the scaffolding first. Then we set up the props with foot tiers at each corner. When we build to the second floor, it's above 2 meters from the ground, and it is regarded as working at high level. I request 4 of my classmates to work on the high level, and thus they have to wear a safety belt to ensure their safety. Then some members pass the material to the others, and then connect each other. Finally, we build a 2-level scaffolding. The scaffolding is tight enough for our whole team to stand on it. On that day, not only the construction method did I learn, but also used it. On day 4, it's about concreting. Since we were going to use the formwork we made in the former lesson, we have to calculate the volume of it first. In the workshop, the instructor told us how to mix the concrete. What is the proportion of different part of component of it? The component of concrete is cement, water, sand, fine and coarse aggregates. We used the formula he told, and soon we work out the proportion of each materials. Then we start to measure the weight required of those materials. After that, we just need to put them all into the machine, and it makes concrete automatically. After we mix the fresh concrete, we start to pour the concrete into our formwork. In the process, we plain the mold oil in the interior of the formwork and pour the concrete. Secondly, we have to use the ribbing machine to compact the concrete. Finally, we did the finishing on top of the concrete surface. We finished concreting to our formwork, and then we have to wait it until the concrete full. On day 5 is about steel reinforcement. Firstly, we moved to laboratory and removed the formwork of the concrete we made yesterday. This day, the concrete has been developed and it is more harder. When I touch the concrete, I feel warm since it is developed. It will produce heat, and then we should break it off to throw it away easier. After that, we learn how to make the steel reinforcement. The instructor told us how to use the tools to bend the steel into different angles. Then we followed his instruction to bend several shapes of the common reinforcement. Next, we moved to the small platform, and he asked us to place the reinforcement into the beam area. We used the soft wire to tie the steel bar and form a reinforcement system. In day 6, we are assigned to attend the brickwork class. In the morning session, our teacher goes through some basic concept of brickwork with us. Yes, about the different type of bricks. After the lunch, the teacher demonstrates how to mix the cement mortar. Then he showed us how to setting out and leveling so as to make sure that the bricks are lying horizontally to the level. Then he teaches about the plastering. It provides a better surface for further finishing like tying. In the practice part, plaster the cement mortar on the wall surface by using the tool. We should make sure the plastering surface should be smooth. We have used a aluminium ruler to leveling the surface. At the end of the day, they show us the block pouring and the construction method of it. Day 7 is also the last day of the training course. Today's workshop including NDT and anchoring system. In the NDT section, we learn how to check whether the defect exists. He demonstrates how to use the testing tools. After his work, we come to our term. We have made 3 non-destructive tests: rebonding hammer test, half-cell potential test, and cover metal test. Finally, the fourth test is the infrared thermographic test, and it has done by the tutorial. Afternoon session, we move on to the anchoring system. First, he told us some basic anchoring theory. Then the instructor demonstrated how to install the anchoring system. After it is our turn. Before using those systems, drill a hole was needed. Therefore, the drill machine was used to drill the hole vertically. We have done 2 anchoring systems: the deformation control expand anchor and the torque control expand anchor. After the anchor bolt was plopped open into the concrete, it finished. Overall, today is not as difficult as I thought. Finally, it comes to the end of our 7-day polio training, and I did learn so much in these few days.